So yesterday I was talking about the problems that we have with the traditional Spring framework which we learned so far, that is capable enough to build application, but there are few gaps we have. There are few gaps we have for current generation people, or for current generation. Everything should be simple and easy, like automated cars. That's how people habituated, right? So people may not be comfortable doing a lot of configurations, writing a lot of code, though they have a lot of business requirements. They won't mostly focus on the business requirements. Apart from that, people expect very less configurations. So then they'll feel that okay, the framework is good framework, easy to learn, easy to implement. So when we use traditional Spring framework, a lot of XML stuff, configurations, connection pools, Tomcat setup, lot of dependencies we need to identify manually, all the compatibilities, and you need to write each and every class from very POSO class onwards, POSO class to DO class, DTO class, services, controllers, configurations, utilities, validations, everything you should be writing. And during deployment, you need to do a lot of configurations, or you should maintain different copies of your code and to monitor and all. No extensive support. They have given a raw framework which we can customize and can implement any applications in Spring. So to make it simple, Pivotal started Spring Boot, and they introduced so many features here to lessen this burden. Whatever we see here, whatever we felt burden, developer need not to spend much time for the configurations. So many default configurations given for connection pools, default configurations for dispatcher servlets, for your session factories or entity managers. All are defaults configurations. Just very few. Wherever actually you need to put custom properties like username, passwords, those only you need to add. Remaining by default it will create for you. And the very first problem for juniors or for anyone, even for if you are a very skilled developer, you need to spend a lot of time to design your skeleton itself first. Skeleton means creating a project structure with the dependencies. It used to take a lot of time, at least 2 3 days if it is a small size one. So creating skeletons itself used to be very tricky. So that also made simple here. As I said, we have tools to do that. Give an online tool and STS also. So it will made simple creating skeleton. And you need not to bother about Tomcat if you are implementing a web-based or REST-based microservice. You need not to worry about your runtime Tomcat. And during a development time also, you need not to worry about databases, even embedded databases as well, H2 database, like embedded Tomcat. But H2 is not recommended in the production. But you can use embedded Tomcat in the production without any question. And given embedded logging framework also, if you want to do logs, you need not to write much configurations for it. A lot of dependency management, dependency management used to be tricky. Here it made simple. A lot of time we used to save here. during Spring Boot application development, as we are saving so much time from creating skeleton, so much time we are saving here creating configuration, so much time we are you know saving here without having dependency on external Tomcat kind of servers, and the tools support we have for a quick setup project, and few of the layer classes completely they avoided implementation. So DAO kind of stuff need not implement here. Some repositories kind of concept given here to reduce the DAO's burden also, right? A lot of deployment support, monitoring support, everything we have. So it is perfect framework for end-to-end application development. Spring Boot for end-to-end application development, Spring Boot is perfect one. Okay, we have all what we need in Spring Boot. On the fly, you can add whichever you want. Like you can add whichever you want into your cart and you can check out in online, right? Similar way, while creating Spring Boot project, whatever you want, you can add all that dependencies and you can check out your project. So here, as I said, we have two online tools, one online tool and one IDE for setting up Spring Boot project. I'll start with simple Hello World project. Okay, let's see how it is working. I hope you all downloaded STS. Okay, remember this. We will use the Spring IO initializer. Okay, Spring IO initializer. We will use initializer Spring Boot start.spring IO. Just a minute, guys. So here you can start creating your project, Spring Boot project. Okay, so basic skeleton, right? As I was saying, that you can design here. First, you need to choose which build tool you are using for your code building and deployment, right? Which one you want to use, Maven, Gradle. Usually, we recommend Maven. Okay, I recommend Maven. I didn't went through Gradle before, but if you see Gradle and Maven both handle the same thing. Okay, so choose Maven for the project, and the language obviously Java. And Spring Boot is having three versions here as of now available. So don't choose any snapshot versions. Use standard versions 3.16 or 3.20, and you may give here the package name which you want, common across the organization, com.rbu, and you can put your application name. So Wish app. I want to name it Wish, wishing app. Package name com.rbu.wish. And finally, how you want to deploy your application as a var or jar. So here you really need not to have a var file. If it is a web application, mostly web microservices based application we build using Spring Boot. Consider it is a microservice web or a microservice which you are implementing. We share. So to run this application, though it is a web application also, you configure port number 9090 and I want to run it on Tomcat because this is my web application or microservice application. They will run on web servers. So you need not have any special web server here as you are going with Spring Boot. Along with the application, inside application itself, you will be having Tomcat, embedded Tomcat. So just you need Java runtime environment, just simple Java. Bus. On this Java, you can run your project. Means like your core Java application. You feel like it's a core Java application. You don't need any special server here. So packaging jar also fine. Earlier we learned that web applications will be archived as a WAR file, web archive file. But from Spring Boot onwards, you can make them jar also. No need of that. You can make them jar. And here it is recommending 17 or 20. Only two options we have. Yeah, hope we are referring the same one. Okay. Now you can add all required dependencies here. Dependency management is simple. So just if you know what is your application requirement. Let's say my application is web application. Okay. I'll go here and I will search for web. So you'll be getting one Spring Web dependency. You can read through it. Build web includes RESTful applications using Spring MVC. Uses Apache Tomcat as a default embedded container. Okay. And my application want to connect with Oracle database also. Search for Oracle. It will provide Oracle dependency as well. And my application want to use JDBC. Okay. Include it. Search for JDBC. Simple JDBC. My application want to use JPA. Search for JPA. My application want to use Kafka. Apache Kafka. Add it. My application want a Lombok. Add Lombok dependencies. Simple, everything you can search here. Most of the dependencies will be available. Whatever they noticed, that is common across all the organizations. They given almost all the dependencies. Apart from the dependencies which you didn't find here, those dependencies you can add independently. It will not stops you. Usually these are the dependencies that we add in general. Web dependency, DB driver, JPA dependency, Lombok. In most of the scenarios. So dependency management is simple. So whichever dependencies you are adding here, these dependencies are compatible to this Spring Boot version. It will not complain to you that this right side dependencies are not compatible to this. So whichever version you choose here, that version compatible dependencies only you will be getting here. So there is no worry of compatible jars and all, which I was telling you the problem while creating the project skeleton. We should be very much careful of the compatibilities. I don't have that worry now. They made it simple. And I need not to worry about Tomcat also. Make it a jar or where it will run on embedded Tomcat. And strictly this version is supporting 17. Okay, 3.16 also. Below that, no, we will see that. I didn't try that. We need to see. Okay. Yeah. So this is how you can set up the project using this IDE, and you can click on generate. So as soon as you click on this generate, it will download a project here, wishapp.zip. So what you need to do is extract it here. Okay, once you extract, you can see project got downloaded here with one form file, source, MVN, and all stuff. Okay, just import this project into your IDE now. Which IDE? Any IDE you can use. As you generated this from online tool, right? As you generated this from online tool, you can import it anywhere as a simple Maven project. You can use Eclipse if you want, but I will recommend you to use STS. Okay, else you can try with the IntelliJ, Eclipse, anywhere you can. Let it load. File. Use import option any even in Eclipse also. Okay, same stuff. Go to import, search for the Maven as it is by default using Maven here. Okay, existing Maven project. Go next. Keep your application path here. Just click on finish. You can see here it is importing Maven project. So it will import all the dependencies also. It will download all the dependencies which are required for your project. Download, download. Basically, we don't need all that dependencies. It is taking little time. Okay, let me regenerate one more app. Wish app 2. Wish app 2. I'll just include web dependency. I don't want all this stuff. Generate one more project. Wish app 2. Ex- extract all. Import this as well. Existing Maven project. Keep your app path. Click on finish. Okay, it is. Yeah. So it is getting imported here. It is imported. First to start your checking from form file. I hope it must not be visible. Let me increase it. And, so whichever version we have downloaded, that is the parent version. And we have one web dependency with the choosed Java version. Java version, Spring Boot version, web dependency, whichever we added. Fine. And go to source. under resources, there are some folders generated and files generated, classes also generated. By default, your tool or online tool, STS or online tool, they both will do this job. Default one class they provides, default static folder, templates, and application properties. This stuff by default it will be generated. So explore this properties file and see what you have. Nothing. A empty properties file. And open the class which is generated automatically. Here you can see one main method class which is having spring application.run. That's it. Nothing much here. So this is your Spring Boot application skeleton that you generated for web application. Now, simple web dependency added for a web application. Okay, my requirement is I want to implement simple hello. So what all you need to do is generally I want to implement a controller. Hello controller. I'm implementing a hello controller here. No much setup. I just created project, imported it. And here I am implementing or adding REST controller. Public string hello. One controller method I am adding here with simple request to mapping. You can add your request mapping path slash hello, and method by default it would be get. Hello everyone, good morning. That's it. I implemented controller. Just this much code. My requirement is this much code and the setup is use. If it is a manual way of configuring all these, you will be spending at least a day time or half day time to do that setup. And to write this code, it's hardly 2 minutes. So as this tool is helping us to generate it, quickly we generate it, we import it, and directly I implemented my controller here. And you can start running it. Before that, as I said, embedded Tomcat by default available. When you add web dependency, this web by default will bring Tomcat to you. Tomcat in the form of jar file. If you go to your Maven dependencies which are downloaded, right, you can see them. There will be one Tomcat jar file. You can see embedded Tomcat. There is a jar file. Embedded Tomcat is available for you. For that embedded Tomcat, we have options here. We have option here. We have option to change server port. Embedded server port servers we can change here. So for that they give an option called server.port. This is the default property. Server.port is the default property. So as 8080 will not work in my machine, I am using server port 9090. 8080 is occupied with Oracle installation. So I always need to add new port number for every application. So server dot port is equal to 9090. Add it and try to run it. How to run? There's a main method class. Simple core Java class. Looks like. Run as a Java application. If you see here, application is started with one banner showing this banner is Spring and some log. In this log, if you observe, it is saying starting service Tomcat. Tomcat started on port number 9090 and taken time 5.9 seconds to start. Your application is start. Web application you created in two steps. Generated a project, added one controller. Bus. Your job is done. So you can add now. Now you can go and verify localhost 9090 slash hello. So my application is running and giving output. Hello everyone, good morning. So see here, for a simple requirement itself, how much time it is saved. So creating basic skeleton of Spring Boot application is simple. In very few clicks, you will get the project here. And the same application, if you want to generate it through IDE, same options given here also. Go to File, New, Spring Starter Project. Once again, you can see File, go to Options, New. Usually for core Java, we use Java project, right? For core Java applications, we use Java project. For web applications, we choose Dynamic Web Project. So here you have Spring Boot application starter project option. Spring starter project. Choose this one. And you can put your application name here. Wish app 3. And which type of build you want to do. Maven. Same options which you chose. Yeah, Maven. And packaging jar. Language Java. Folder name, package name, com.rb. Next. So here you can choose, already we choose, right? No, yeah. You can choose Spring Boot version. So always it is pointing to your Spring IO. So whatever Spring IO versions you have there, same versions it is picking up here. No, that is not available. So you need to go with latest versions only. Or else you need to see backtrack. I don't see where you can get it. Maybe old version also not available for you. The latest one is not recommending it. So you should upgrade to 17 only. Or else you need to have a old project with you, which is Java 8 with the Spring Boot compatibility. Spring 2.x something you should use. Then you need to set up it manually. Go next. Here, search for the dependencies. Same dependencies you added here, right? With add dependencies, you can do that same thing here. Search for web dependency and you can add it. You have a lot of dependencies when you search. Web dependency, next, finish. So this is direct way. Instead you going to Spring IO, downloading project and importing here, you can directly generate project. Same application. Same class. At the rate Spring Boot application, at the rate Spring Boot application. And go to server port. Set up the server port here. Port 9090. And you can implement your controller here as well. Hello control. You can run Wish app 3. So here you have two options to run the Spring Boot project. Okay. Right click, go to run as, use Spring Boot app, or you can go to your main method class and run as Java class or Spring Boot app, or you can run it from command prompt also. Application started. So still I can see. Oh, so in these two ways you can generate a project using Spring Initializer and using STS by adding all your required dependency stuff. Okay. So we will go with one by one module. Okay. Web module, then the basic features. Web is having embedded Tomcat, right? We will see how I can modify that. Customizing banner. So for content, I'll prefer you also go through it. We are not going to check everything, but whatever important will cover here. Spring features list in Spring IO itself they mention. This is the most recommended documentation. Okay, so you can go through this documentation to explore yourself more. Okay, so features list, data, docs, docs.spring IO. Core features. We'll start with the Spring core features. Okay, and we will explore much more later. Core features are important here. Okay, so we'll go through them. Any questions so far? So you want to check it is a var file, right? Let's see. So make it a var, create one more project, packaging as a var, next, Spring Web, finish it, copy class, For where servlet initializer added. Any additional properties? Nothing. Server dot port. No, no, that we will do. Very basic, minute things we have. Okay, let's start with that. Phase on. So see that profiles and all. Then we will add end to end. End to end will be finished very quickly, so that you will not feel that you learned Spring Boot. That is my impression. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure. Okay, try to run it. Same thing, still alive. So one observation we can see here, dispatcher servlet is initializing. In rest scenario, we didn't see this statement, right? Shut down, copy this log, and let's see the difference between two logs. Wish app 2. Yeah, here also it is happening, but only the packaging is different. That's it. No, I was just checking what is the difference between both. Apart from packaging, it is not showing much difference. Both are having or using dispatcher servlet. Is it lagging your side screen? Yeah. So I thought something is different, but nothing. Apart from the servlet initializer class that I see here, I don't see any difference. But you can run as a jar file. Okay, you can run now onwards. You can run your web applications as a jar file. You need not to have a var. You can have a jar. From command prompt also you can start running them. To do that, you need to build your project. Maven build clean install skip test if you have, apply, run. This is very very important. Okay, usually we generate jars and we deploy it into production. Directly jar file is to be deployed. Maybe in your DevOps configuration, somewhere you need to play with all these commands. So once the build is success, you can see generated target. Target will have your jar file. There you can run your jar file directly. Wish jar. Okay, this is how jar we executed. I don't think var is different. Do build in var and run the var as well. Jar is started. Go and build a fourth project also. Build is success. You can see var is generated. Earlier it was jar, now it is var. You can see where web application structure is generated with all class files. Like in servlets we used to do, right? Let's try to run this var with the jar command. Java hyphen jar wish app var. Yeah, you can write in both the ways. It is working. It is starting your Tomcat, even var scenario also. Or if you want to deploy it manually into your custom Tomcat, copy var file, go to your Tomcat, Apache Tomcat, and you know, right? You can place your var file into web apps. Here you can place your var or the complete application and start the external Tomcat also. It will pick your var file and it will run. If you want to deploy particularly into one Tomcat or WebLogic, physically you want to place your var file, you can do that as well. Okay, so here I can put it. No, not required. They have default configurations. It will have with annotations. Okay, you can explore it. Okay, var file approach. You can put it in Tomcat and try it. That should be working. Okay, so from tomorrow we will see the basic core concepts of Spring Boot and we will jump into the modules. Okay, Spring Data and other modules which we need to be covered. Okay, AOP we thought we will be seeing here, right? We'll see AOP also. Security transactions. In the boot we will cover that. But no rush, okay? We'll go concept by concept. It will be easy to first time learners. Okay. Yeah, that's it for today. We'll meet tomorrow. Okay, and we'll explore more. Thank you guys. See you tomorrow. Good day. Yeah. Use simple jar command. Acha, acha, this one, yeah. Directly you can run application, click on application, run as Spring Boot app. Okay, directly you can do this. This is one way. Okay, and the other way is go to your main method class and run as a Java application. Run as Java application also. No difference. Both will do the same job.